how to dress in the backcountry. Onesie versus two-piece, insulated versus non-insulated. I'm gonna run you guys through what I wear in the backcountry, how I choose to dress, and how I think about dressing every time I get on my sled and go ride. Now, before we get started, thanks for watching. My name is Roscoe, but you probably already know that if you follow me. If you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe like a bunch of you guys aren't. I don't know, what are we doing here, guys? Get subscribed, leave a comment below. Let me know what your favorite piece of gear to bring in the backcountry is with you, and I'll try to answer all the questions I can to the best of my abilities if you have any further questions. So leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and let's dive into it. Now, first things first, guys, I'm gonna run you through my gear set, what I choose to run. We're not going to dive super deep into the nitty-gritty of each piece of gear, more so the idea and mindset of what goes into choosing the right gear for you and what you're trying to do in the backcountry. So we're gonna start at the bottom, at the base layer, and work all the way out till we're ready to go rip. So let's get started. Step one is base layer. Now, I've fallen in love with this new 509 merino wool base layer, and the funny thing is I was actually starting to transition a lot of my stuff to wool before this came out. So when it did release, I was very excited for it, and this is pretty much what I'm exclusively wearing these days when I go ride, is the merino top and bottom base layer. The only thing some of you guys might not like about it is this does come with an integrated hood and kind of face mask, which is actually nice going home at the end of the day. I leave it tucked in my collar all day, and then when I go home, I can put my hood on and my face mask on, and it just adds some extra warmth. The advantages of wool versus a synthetic is wool is a very great natural base layer material because it wicks moisture away from the body, it keeps you warm, and it does breathe well. So it's like the OG base layer material that guys have been using forever. Now, the number one thing before I get into anything else, guys, cotton straight up will kill you out there. No jeans, no sweatshirts, no cotton socks, no cotton underwear, none of it. I don't wanna see it, all right? Now that that's out of the way, we can actually get to business. So we can either go synthetic with our base layers or wool, and I'm starting to go a lot more wool. A couple advantages that wool has over synthetics is that it doesn't get that synthetic stink. Synthetics tend to stink a little bit more. Wool naturally won't stink as much, so if you go on the road a lot like I do, you don't have to wash your base layers all the time, and you can get away with wearing them for a couple days even though it's kind of gross. So when they do get wet, if you do get soaked, super sweaty, just out of control, whatever the circumstance may be, wool will continue to keep you warm even when wet, and it does stay relatively warm. Now, this stuff is blended with some bamboo, so it's super soft and also stretchy, making it very comfortable to wear all day. This is pretty much what I'm wearing all the time. And then I also rock the 509 socks. I wear the heaviest socks possible because my feet do get cold. So a lot of this is about thinking what works best for you, thinking for yourself. Like, I know my feet get cold, I know my hands get cold, so I have to dress accordingly. My core stays warm. I'm a heater when I get moving. So as long as I'm moving, my core stays warm. So I don't have to worry too much about over insulating on my legs or my core because I keep that heat going pretty well, but my hands and my feet are something that I think about all the time. After we have our base layers on, you guys can kind of, choose what you need to and what you feel best. And let me remind you, this is what I wear pretty much every day. It's going to be 10 degrees today, and I'm wearing this. When it's 40 degrees, I'm still gonna wear this. Unless it gets really, really hot, then I might go to a really thin synthetic layer, or if it's frigid, like below 10 degrees, I might double up and put something a little bit heavier on over this. The other thing about base layers, guys, is this is something where you can save money. You don't have to go buy the $80 base layer kit or the $120 base layer kit. You can use stuff as long as it has the right materials, and that's a whole nother topic. But go do some research on what kind of materials are the best. Go look at the mountaineering, backpacking, hiking, skiing, that world, because they have had it dialed for a long time. Now we're gonna jump into protection, the next step after my base layer. All right, now we're on the protection game. I dress for battle out there because battlefield. Things get out of control. Tree branches, snowmobiles, all that stuff. So I invest heavy in protection gear, and I like stuff to be comfortable that I can wear all day, and I don't even notice that I'm wearing it. I feel naked without it out there at this point. Starting at the top, this is the Liette 3DF Air Fit. It's like an armor suit, like, I don't know, chest protector, but it has shoulder protection as well. So just some shoulder pads. It did have elbow protection, but I ended up removing those. I just cut those out. Another piece that I'm excited to try is the new 509 Armor setup that they're pretty much sold out of. Good job, 509. We'll make more next year, but I've heard great things about it. So that's probably what I'll wear next year. This is what I've been wearing for a long time. I really like it. Thin padding, soft padding. It actually moves with my body a little bit, but then on impact, it hardens up. So great piece. It has integrated back protection as well. So just something to, you know, lessen the blow and protect me a little bit in the chest and shoulders and stuff like that. Now moving down to the knee braces. I've been running these Mobius X8 knee braces since they came out. For like 5 or 6 years now. I've been using these knee braces and they're tried and true. I swear by them and I buy them every time. Sponsored by these guys, but appreciate them making amazing products that last a long time. You could break them. I've heard guys say break them. I don't know how. I've had 2 sets in the last 6 years and I ride a lot of snowmobiles. So invest in these. These are expensive. They're like $600. They're the only knee brace that I have seen that hold up, and they also have an amazing shin and thigh protection from running boards and anything else you're gonna throw at it, and your boot comes up high enough where it actually does protect it. Now, a new piece that I've thrown into the mix this year are these Space Brace ankle braces. Mostly because my feet get cold, I need support. In the snowmobile industry, there's not a lot of really supportive boots. Mostly because the consumer, you guys, haven't really asked for it. Now, some of us athletes that ride a little bit differently or really ride extreme, we have asked for it or talked about it, but the demand just isn't there from the consumer. So a boot like this, I'm gonna talk about in a little bit, is more so what gets asked and is requested, something that's more comfortable. So I have kind of taken it into my own hands, started running these braces. These are great. If you have ankle issues, I would recommend these because they're quick, they're comfortable, you can wear them all day. They have removable shanks, plastic shanks for extra support. They work really well and they're not too expensive as well. So those are the Space braces. I wear those, kind of finish out my boot package. Now let's get to the most important part, or the most talked about part, and that is outerwear. That is where you guys should be spending most of your money. It's your first line of defense against the elements. Let's get into it. Like I said, where you should be investing the most of your money is in your outerwear. First line of defense. This is the 509 Stoke monosuit. This is it's up there in my favorite pieces from 509. I'm undecided at this point, so I have the luxury of testing and trying a lot of different pieces. I'm always working with some prototype stuff as well, so it all gets kind of lost in the mix of what I like. This is a great piece from 509. They also have the 509, they have the Stoke 2-piece, so that's pant and bib combo. Now, a question that I get asked a ton is, do you recommend getting a 1-piece? I'm interested in trying one, or going pant and bib combo. So the 1-piece is super comfortable. There's a reason a lot of us have transferred to using it a lot. The one thing that you should consider, especially if you're only gonna have 1 piece of gear or 1 set of gear, is the cost, the ability to replace it, and things like that. So the downside with this monosuit is, if I did like rip a whole thing down the leg or running board and it wasn't on a seam, you know, it was user error, or something happened to it and it broke, that is beyond warranty, then you have to replace the whole 1-piece, or you have to go get the whole 1-piece. The advantage of a 2-piece is that you can mix and match jackets, bibs, something like that. You could use bibs for 2 years, then next year I'm gonna buy a new jacket, and then the year after that I'm gonna buy new bibs. Whereas the 1-piece is one and done, right? You can't mix and match it as much. So that's something to consider. If you're only going to have 1 set of gear, I would suggest going with the 2-piece. That way, if something happens to the pants or jacket, you can change them out and you don't have to go buy yourself a whole new set. So that's kind of my pitch to that. But if you do say, I'm gonna have a backup set of gear, which I also highly recommend because things happen, then definitely go try out a 1-piece for us snowmobilers. It's become very popular and they work really well, and companies are continuing to design pieces for it. They're getting better and better. The Stoke is really incredible. The Stoke is great gear because it has some stretch in it, very comfortable, more form-fitted piece compared to some of the other stuff, because we do have that stretch. So it does allow you to run a little bit tighter gear set. Other things to consider when it comes to your gear is that, what if you have to spend the night? Is it good enough to spend the night in? Do you carry stuff with you that you could spend the night? So this piece is something that is bomber. It's a top of the line piece. I can go out any day and I know it will keep me dry, protected, stay the night if I have to. I also carry some other things with me to make sure that that horrible night in the backcountry that I do not want to spend would be bearable and I would not die of hypothermia or something like that. So things to consider. A lot of the stuff does come with knee pads, and this is actually something that I learned recently, is the knee pads actually help in between your knee brace and the snowmobile as well. There's less pinch points on the gear. It will actually help the knees in your gear last longer. That's where we see a lot of wear and tear. Also, things that 509 has done is they have added a little bit of insulation in the seat of a lot of their bibs and one pieces, which is really nice because sometimes we do sit for a while, and having a little bit of insulation there is nice. And also, if you're a skier or snowboarder, it is nice to have some insulation there as well. Now let's actually talk about insulation, non-insulated versus insulated. Now I never run insulated gear. A lot of guys, Midwest, East Coast, I cannot speak to you guys because I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to the really cold weather. So you guys ride in really gnarly conditions, you're going way faster down the trail, and that's a whole nother ball game where I totally understand insulated. In the backcountry, where we're moving a lot, exerting a lot of energy, conditions are changing all of the time. It's nice to be able to change how you regulate your heat with your layering system. So your base layer, your insulating, and then also a shell. That's how I always operate. I do carry a puffy in my backpack, an ultralight puffy. That's my insulation layer. But most of the time I just wear my base layer. My protective chest protector actually acts as an insulator a little bit, and then I do carry a backup if I need it. So thinking of how I'm going to stack my gear set in the backcountry, depending on the weather conditions, depending on what the day is going to be like, is really the way to do it. I always recommend non-insulated gear, especially if you're gonna come out west and ride like we ride. It just allows the gear also to be more mobile and cut differently when it's non-insulated. So you look at the really technical backcountry mountaineering shells, ski shells, all that stuff, all the really high-end elite stuff is typically non-insulated, and then you can hit it with some insulation underneath to adjust for the day. Now, when it comes to boots, I touched on this for just a second. These are the 509 Raid BOA boots. They're the boots that I choose to run every day because I need that insulation, right? Know yourself. They also have the Velo Raids, which are more of the moto boot with some insulation that are waterproof. Those are awesome boots. For me, my feet just get too cold, so I run these. These are 600 grams of insulation, and then I also have the heavy socks under that as well. Things to think of, things to do your research on when it comes to your outerwear. Now we're gonna hop into gloves, goggles, helmet real quick. I invest in helmet, right? It's my head. I only got one of the freaking things, so I better take care of it. And I always choose to run the lightest, most expensive, best protection combo I can possibly find. This is the new 509 carbon fiber Altitude 2.0. This is the high flow, so this is actually a pretty cold helmet. I do not like to ride trail in this thing, but when I do get out into the backcountry and I'm like doing how I actually ride, this thing is the ticket. This is absolutely incredible. It is not an altitude helmet anymore. This thing is on another level. It's head and shoulders above its predecessor, so I highly recommend you guys consider picking up one of these new Altitude 2.0s. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a 509 athlete. I give feedback on this all the time, and really good job, guys. We've been working with that Altitude for a long time. This is a custom molded helmet that they've put a lot of work into, and the fit and finish is just on another level compared to what the last one was. Comfort is better. Around your ears is way more comfortable. It's lighter, all the things. So just an all-around better helmet. Consider picking up one of these. Now, when it comes to goggles, guys, it's a toss-up at this point. The Aviator 2.0s from 509 are amazing. The Sinister X6s are a flagship piece. This is actually what I wear most of the time. I wear a yellow lens a lot because it works the best for all sorts of snow conditions, all sorts of weather conditions. It's currently dumping snow out. We're about to go slay the POW. X6 is a great goggle. The new Aviator 2.0s are also amazing, and I love the lens change in those goggles as well. I choose to carry 2 pairs of goggles, and I typically don't carry any extra lenses out there with me. I'd rather just switch goggles midday than have to do the lens change. We do have some great lens changing options, and if you did want to go the lens change route, I would recommend the Aviator 2.0s because they are so quick to change. The Sinister X6s are really easy to change the lenses in as well. They're just not quite as slick as the Aviator 2.0s because they have the magnetic system that is really awesome. The other thing to consider when you're thinking about goggles is this is a flat lens, right? It's like just flat like this. The Aviators are a spherical eyeball-shaped lens that has some rounding to it. So it's like designed to match your eye. Some people love it, some people don't like it. So it's something to consider. I don't mind it. I don't know if there's one better or worse. It is a bigger goggle. This is a little bit smaller goggle in the actual size package because it does have a flat lens. So just things to consider like that, like understanding that maybe you do like that a little bit more. Maybe you like the feeling of the goggle being further off your face, the lens further away from your eye or closer to your eye. All of these things come into play when you're out in the backcountry. And other things to consider are lenses, right? Color of lenses. These are the standard lenses. 509 has max vent lenses. So if you sweat through your goggles, if you're just a sweaty mess, steaming, fogging goggles, consider getting the max vent lenses from 509. They're going to help with that. They're going to allow more airflow through. You're going to be a little bit colder going down the trail at speeds, but would you trade that for fogging goggles later because you're working your butt off and you're sweating like crazy? The other thing you guys need to think about too is goggle management when you're out there. That's a whole nother video I could do. So the goggles are great. When you fog them, it's because it's you did that. The goggles didn't just fog on their own. You created the heat and the sweat and to create that. So I can talk about that all day long, but things to consider when it comes to goggles. I think last but not least, we're gonna talk about gloves and face masks. Tying back into the helmet with the face mask idea is I remove the breath box. I get everything out of there I possibly can because I need air to escape when I'm riding. If I have my breath box in, if I have my net gaiter all the way up, all of that heat and moisture and air just gets trapped and it goes to the goggles, and that's how you fog goggles. That helps me not fog goggles. But then when I am ripping down the trail or doing something like that, I actually usually choose to run a net gaiter. This is actually a little co-branded piece here with Blackstrap. I love the net gaiter because I can just put it on my neck. I can pull it down. It's really easy. It doesn't get in my way. Sometimes the balaclavas, they bunch up and just kind of, they're not as comfortable. So this is a great solution. If it is really, really cold, I do carry one in my handlebar bag if it's really, really bad. But for 99% of the days, this is the ticket for me. And then if it's a deep pow day, I just pull this down around my neck and it protects me from the snow there as well. All right, guys, on to gloves. Gloves are tricky and challenging as well. So these are the factors, I believe, from 509. I don't even know, man. These, I will link all of the gear in the description, but these are the factors from 509 that are really good. We're working on some new stuff as well. These are my ride hard gloves. They do get wet, but I just keep my hand warmers on. They're not waterproof, and there's actually some advantages to waterproof gloves because you have a membrane in there, so you're more apt to sweat when your hands do get wet and you have them out of your glove, and then you put your hand back in your glove. You're introducing moisture. A lot of times, I don't care how breathable the membrane is, it's hard to get that moisture out of there at the end of the day. Sometimes just having a glove that's non-waterproof or that's water resistant and wind resistant is the glove to have on most of the days. And then, of course, you have a glove like this. Dude, I don't even know the name of this glove. David, 509, what is this glove called? A waterproof insulated glove. This is my go in and out on the trail glove, or if it's super deep, I can ride in this as well. I carry a pair of these. I carry multiple pairs of these. These aren't that expensive. I use these all the time and they're great. I'll go through 2 or 3 pairs of these in a day, just soak them through, sweat them through. I can also wring them out midday as well. And then when I'm going home or going on the trail where it's really deep, I can put on some insulated, totally waterproof gloves. So gloves are interesting because, like I said, I love dexterity in my hands. I love to be able to feel the grips and the bars. And when you introduce a membrane, a waterproof membrane, when you introduce insulation, all of those things, you kind of lose that. So, and then obviously have your gloves. This is also for a safety thing, so you don't lose your hands out there. But gloves like this, I typically don't run gauntlets, but on this big glove, I do have a gauntlet glove with the long cuff. They do make this same glove in a short cuff as well, which is also a great glove that you can ride in a lot of conditions. And then I have the Mac Daddy. I'm going home, back to the truck. It's cold glove. This is the 509 Ignite heated glove, or it doesn't have to be heated, but a big, heavy, insulated glove that you can rip down the trail on and just cruise on home when you're tired, your hands are cold, everything else is just, you're just done, right? And maybe keeping a pair of gloves like this in your backpack is really smart. So that's what I do. I think that about covers it, guys. That's head to toe kind of the ideas and things I think about when I get ready to gear up during the day. I probably will do another video talking about my avalanche backpack, things I carry in my backpack, tunnel bag, like all that stuff as well. If you guys want to see that video, let me know. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the love. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. I see you guys out there. Not all you guys are subscribed. More videos are on the way. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Roscoe out.